Come, let us explore the confusion between meditation and disassociation. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. A question begins quite succinctly, disassociating, and then continues more succinctly. Is disassociating the same as meditation or related to meditation? And that is an excellent question. First, I must begin with an apology. I'm already a disabled fellow. And on top of that, I'm having some issues with my sinuses. So if I have a boo-boo face, if my eyes seem to close, if I have to end this live stream short, please don't take this personal. I'm still committed to the well-being of all who tune into these live streams. It's just that some days I'm stronger than other days, and this is another day. Kevin, my friend, to you, I send a psychic hug, and I was just getting ready to send you a special meme through email. So, splendid. So let's return our attention to the good-hearted person who asked the question about disassociation. I once spoke to a gal who she was an excellent ambassador, a certain type of person who will not ask for my help, but instead will approach me and tell me how much they don't need my help with meditation. It's kind of cute, really. Anyway, she was convinced that enlightenment was living in a permanently disassociated state. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, allow me to show you. Let us turn our attention to the 8-fold path. The 7th fold is mindfulness. But wait, there's more. Let us turn our attention to the 7 enlightenment factors. The first one is, you guessed it, mindfulness. And so mindfulness is the opposite. Disassociation is the opposite of mindfulness. So how did this confusion happen? Well, for that we're going to have to return to our old friend Sturgeon's Law. Together as a team, say it if you know it. 90% of everything sucks. And not in the fun, tingly way. Well, how does that look like? Well, in meditation, it looks like a bunch of people getting confused by pseudo-spiritual patriarchy and being so confused that they're led to believe that being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel is a wonderfully good thing. Sadly, only a minority practice yin spirituality, matriarchal spirituality, in which one embraces the path of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. But what does that have to do with disassociation? Glad you asked. And to flesh things out, I'm going to find a diagram of the human brain. Okay. Oh yes, zombie season is fast approaching, my little geeks and nerds. So, when we follow the advice of those confused by yang or pseudo-spiritual patriarchy, they tell us to actively concentrate and actively analyze. And if we do that, they said we can experience the 8 jhanas. And the jhanas can give us all kinds of groovy experiences, kind of like being on drugs, but free. Stoned off your own neurotransmitters, if you ask me. And it can create sensations of disassociation. But that ain't what the Buddha taught. It's a giant pothole on the path to enlightenment. Many type of holes in this world. Potholes are one of them. So, if we follow the path of concentration, we could wind up in disassociation. Well, what's so wrong about that? What's the alternative, you might ask? And I'm glad you did. Remember, as I mentioned previously, that the seventh enlightenment that the seventh fold of the eightfold path is mindfulness. Well, did you know that every time you inhale, whether you mean to or not, you are already wired to automatically access your sympathetic nervous system? Ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord, this bad boy has evolved to help us perceive in a very special way. To help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. We have evolved not to disassociate, but to notice. To notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. To notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. To notice entire spectrum of phenomena. From the external to the internal. From the physical to the mental. From the painful to the pleasurable, from the boring to the interesting, from the grotesque to the glorious. Now, you would be correct in assuming that occasionally that could be overwhelming. It could feel like evolution's asking us to take a gentle sip from a fire hose. And so, due to a happy accident of evolution, we have a relief valve. That brings us to the eighth fold of the eightfold path, meditation. Because every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system found in both the lower third as well as the upper third of that same spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us both physically relax as well as mentally release. You might say, aha, look, I'm relaxing. Isn't that disassociation? Lama Jigme, you oddly dressed fellow? The answer is no. Consider, if you will, the pendulum of a grandfather clock. It might swing to one extreme, but it always swings to the other, back and forth, as long as the gravity feed is working. Similarly, as long as we're alive, we're breathing in and out. And therefore, every experience of perception is always followed by an experience of release. And every experience of release is always followed by another perception. So we are not chasing a state. We're not holding on to a state with white knuckle intensity. We're simply noticing a state as they come and go. Like sitting in the back seat as a child on a car trip with your family and watching the billboards or the trees go by. And the same thing with that which we perceive. Now, you might ask, well, why do that? What's it worth? I'll tell you. If, like a boob, we got stuck with concentration and analysis, we'd wind up stimulating our amygdala, the seat of aggression and anxiety. However, by training with our awareness and release, Not only do we calm our anxious and aggressive amygdala, but we stimulate our empathetic anterior cingulate gyrus, seat of compassion and love. Furthermore, meditate for at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so, and you will find that your choices, utterances, and deeds begin to flow with the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. No, not scattered spontaneity, but actually centered spontaneity. And you'll find yourself becoming the person that your dog or your cat already thinks you are. I think it could be great fun if together as a team we practice a bit of the old chanting and a bit of the old meditation after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, wrong button, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Perhaps, wrong button, wrong lever. Love that movie. Actually, what I love of that movie are the two villains. I love those two villains. They're the best part of the whole movie. Yes, couscous. Yes, the poison for couscous. Yes, the poison made especially for couscous. Love that movie. Anyway, let's move on. Let us set intention by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. So let's take a moment to just be mellow. And if there's anyone who perhaps comes to mind, someone perhaps struggling with depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder, someone perhaps struggling with addiction and all that entails, and perhaps people that we don't know, on this world and all worlds, real or imagined. Now that we've opened our heart and our mind to further embrace all beings everywhere, let us chant this again. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. Un momento. Now let us bring the circumstantial into the path of love, mindfulness, meditation, and the 3 marks of existence. So let us bring the Dhamma circumstantial into the path of dukkha stress, which is the first mark of reality. Here we go. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our circumstantial needs met. How we want, when we want, for as long as we want, if at all. So we're going to take that sentiment and transform it into a rhetorical question that is only 6 syllables long, and divide that question between our inhalation and our exhalation. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that other circumstantial needs also be met. We're using the word boon as a synonym for good fortune, and we're using the word lots as a synonym for circumstance. Observing the coming and going of circumstantial phenomena, help us to see that ever-changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever circumstantial phenomena we notice during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply did not define us. Let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. So we begin now our first set of approximately 15 minutes of meditation. To keep track of this first collection, we could gingerly rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, and rest these 2 hands in our lap. Now, the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our inhalation. I apologize, during our exhalation. Similarly, the most efficient way of practicing mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. What we can also, wrong button. What we can also do during our inhalation is advance our thumb, beginning with the little finger. So please practice along with me right now. And that's one set of 12 rounds. Now, how do we count 12 sets of 12 rounds? For that, we use our left hand and begin counting on our left index finger. And we begin with our first set of 12 rounds. Now, yes, this can seem a bit ungainly, but play with it once every 12 hours for the next 2 or 3 weeks before passing judgment. So that was not 12 sets, that was only 8 sets. Once again, I have had to make things a little less ambitious tonight. So when counting 8 sets, we begin on the index, 8 sets, we begin on the index finger. Instead of counting 3, just count 2 on each finger. And hopefully if you have 4 fingers and 1 thumb, that will work out. Now let us bring the mental into the path of love, mindfulness meditation, and the 3 marks of existence. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our mental needs met. How we want when we want for as long as we want if at all. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' mental needs also be met. Observing the coming and going of mental phenomena, help us to see that ever-changing one and all there is nothing permanent to grasp. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever mental phenomena we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply did not define us. Having come to this evening's second collection of 96 breaths, we could gingerly rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, gingerly upon the tip of our left middle finger. Now let us bring the interpersonal into the path of love, mindfulness, meditation, and the 3 marks of existence. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our interpersonal needs met. How we want when we want for as long as we want if at all. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' interpersonal needs also be met. Observing the coming and going of interpersonal phenomena, help us to hear however changing one and all there is nothing permanent to grasp. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever interpersonal phenomena we notice during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply did not define us. Having come to our third collection of 96 breaths, we could simply rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger gingerly upon the tip of our left ring finger, stacking both our hands palms up in our lap. We come now to our fourth quarter, where we bring the physical into the path of love, mindfulness, meditation, and the three marks of existence. Let us begin with the first mark of existence. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our physical needs met. How we want when we want for as long as we want, if at all. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' physical needs also be met. Feeling the coming and going of physical phenomena. Help us to feel that ever-changing one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever physical phenomena we notice during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply did not define us. To better keep track of this, our fourth collection of 96 breaths, we could simply locate the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger and gingerly rest it upon the tip of the left little finger in our lap. Let us seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old loving wishes. Once again, being vulnerable to all the people that we know of who are suffering, as well as the sufferings of those who are pure abstractions. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 or so hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.